Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel where I'm undertaking the biggest project of my life, building my dream garage, the Shmuseum. Over the next few months, we are going to see the ultimate transformation of this space into something epic. There is so much to share with you, and it's only the start so far. This is to house my car collection, the Shmeemobiles, to film my videos, and to eventually display all of the memorabilia that I've accumulated over the years. I'm drawing inspiration from some of the incredible car collections and garages that I've visited over the years, everywhere from the United States through to Japan and everything in between. We started with literally a milking parlour. This is on a farm outside of London in England. There was no concrete floor, no lighting. It was dirty, it was open in places, and we transformed it already. We brought in some of the Shmeemobiles to bring in the cars. Then, of course, everything like the electrics, the lighting, the BenPak auto stacker lifts to make the most of all of the space. We also expanded out from our gazebos as our temporary offices to building the mezzanine to start on what is going to become the grandstand behind me. But this is where we are really getting down to business now. There is a lot to come. We're going to be completing the grandstand space with the offices, the halo space, the lounge, some very cool details to be introduced. We're going to have a racetrack in here as well. All will become clear on that front too. We've also got the storage construction to be finished. We've got so many more things happening over the next period, which is why I want to bring you along for the full journey of building my dream garage here, the Shmuseum. Going back to where it all began, the replica of my first car. As a teenager, I had a 1.2 litre Renault Clio Dynamique wearing the exact same plate. Sadly, that car was involved in an accident. It was scrapped, but I do own the lump of metal as it happens. But I always felt that thrill of adventure, getting out on the road, dreaming of one day owning a car like some of these, which I've been lucky to acquire over the years. In fact, I started uploading videos on YouTube 13.5 years ago. Since then, on average, I've uploaded more than a video a day, over 5,000 in total, picking up some fantastic machines and so many things that I can't wait to put out on show. This was always the distant dream, to have a space like this. But once I found this location, even though it was a complete mess to begin, I had an idea for what we could do with it. It's taken a long time to even get to the stage we're at now, having our temporary offices and stuff pretty much everywhere. But this is where we really get down to it now. I want to have a full recap of the project so far to show you what's going on, what we're doing, because we have some incredible ideas. We are working with some amazing partners, and this is going to become such a special space as well to house all the cars and to film all the content. I cannot wait. I have learned so much, from building stud walls to the electrical side of things to choosing alarms and lighting and you name it. But you've heard me mention both the grandstand and the racetrack. And this is where it's going to start to get really quite exciting. You will detect a theme amongst the cars in my collection. Cars that are track focused, cars that are immensely dynamic, driving focused machines, things that I love to drive and have taken on many occasions, and in fact, pretty much all of the cars over to the Nürburgring. This is a bit of a taster for what's to come. The idea here is to make it feel like a grandstand at a racetrack. Hence the frame that we've gone for, hence the style of balustrades that we have up top. But there's so much more to come. Downstairs, we have a reception room, we have a lounge, we have what we're calling the halo space, the main parking spot for the latest arrival, a display car, for example. We then have the kitchenette, the toilets and other facilities around the back behind the stairs as well. Up top are going to be offices. You can see the start of the walls, and we're going to take a full look through all of this in just a moment as well to show you where we're at and what's going to be happening next. So once you're looking out from that side, you're looking down towards the cars, and by racetrack, think flooring. More on that to come. Think what we could do through this space. Of course, the BenPak auto stacker lifts arrived, meaning that we could park over 7 cars, 7 further cars up top on this side of the garage, the storage side, if you will, with the opposite face being the museum, so to speak, the flagship Shmeemobiles, all of the memorabilia, and I've accumulated quite a few Lego models, maxi swatches, and things I'd like to put out, and that's the plan over here. We're going to be shuffling a little bit along the way as we move from our temporary desk space in the gazebos over the other side, into the lounge, and eventually upstairs over here as well. But that's not all, because over towards this side of the garage, we're going to be installing a workshop section. We're going to be having cabinets, we're going to be having tools. Then, of course, we have all of the storage sections as well. So we've got a few different chapters, and it's all going to be happening literally in the next 2 or 3 months. And that's why I'm so excited to bring you along for this journey of building the dream garage. There is so much to show you behind me here, the grandstand, as I am now calling it, the mezzanine / offices that we've got. We've never actually shown the kitchenette, which is making some great progress. Plus, there's just a lot more that's been done that I haven't yet shown you guys. But before we get to that, one of the biggest transformations that really made this feel like a car garage was when we installed the car lifts, the Benpack Auto Stackers. These are the Benpack Auto Stacker A6W lifts, the slightly wider versions. And you can see with a car as wide as, say, the SLS Black Series, you've still got plenty of space on either side. You're not going to risk curving your wheels. They have a number of different height settings. So we have them positioned so I can walk underneath nice and easily, nothing to worry about. And opposed to, say, the 4-post lifts, you don't have anything unsightly obscuring the view, so you have this magnificent look at the cars over the top. And yes, we have quite a few under car covers. Those are clean, and obviously with all of the construction works and the dust, they've been staying that way. They get uncovered when I take one out, and then when they get cleaned, they get covered up again, except cars are coming and going a lot at the moment, which is why we have random car covers absolutely everywhere. The other advantage is that you have loads of space. You can open the doors decently, you can climb out very easily underneath or up top. Super easy in terms of the approach ramp angle as well. And we started with 4 of them, expanding then to have the full run of 7, and it creates this magnificent wall of cars. I could not be happier with those, and I know when we installed them originally and loaded them up fully with Shimimobiles, you guys also appreciated that view as much as I did. Plus, how practical is it? We leave the cars up top that we don't need to take out so frequently, and basically end up with that epic view, which looks even more epic when you're up top over there, where, like I said, things have changed quite a lot from how this began. So initially, there was nothing here. This was an open wall. We had a few cars here, a friend's car, for example, tucked away over in the corner, the Gunther Works 911, and also the 812 GTS with the Novatec exhaust, lived over there for a while. Feels strange thinking back to those now. But of course, we had the mezzanine installed by More Storage. Really impressed with those guys to get it in and get it up really quickly. To get the load floor, the stairs over at the other end. Obviously, doing this kind of thing, there are loads of rules and things that you have to follow, but I always had this idea from before we even moved in about how I wanted to do this. Having a little reception room to kind of differentiate where you enter into the building, just kind of through here, where you can either come this way directly into the main room, or you can pop through to the office, the other side, the office, the lounge, the room that we have downstairs. Obviously, these openings offer glass. Wait and see that. It's going to be really spectacular. But the team from Novus Workspace Solutions, who have been doing all of the installation of this, have cracked on like you wouldn't believe. In fact, if we smash through the glass for a moment, inside here, we have carpet. It's being protected at the moment. We have lights and electrics, obviously something that is pretty critical to all of this and takes so much more thinking than you could imagine, with spotlights, with different setups. But the idea is to be inside here alongside the Halo space. So picture that you're looking out through glass at one of the Halo cars just in that bay. There's going to be some really cool lighting in there, a really cool Schmuseum logo, and also looking out obviously towards the main hall, which is the icing kind of on the cake. If we come through this way, though, past the Halo bay, which is, of course, open to the racetrack, we come to the kitchenette, which, like I say, we've never shown. It's not a full-on kitchen. It's just for a fridge and that kind of thing. But come on in, where we have lighting that automatically turns on. We have the floor going on in here as well. And we have, well, progress, which is really quite fun. Obviously, there's more to come. We're going to have the washing machine. We're going to have the fridge, microwave, sink. I think there's a sink somewhere under here. In fact, I know there is a sink under here. It's just masked up and hidden away for the time being. But each of these rooms is just immense progress. And obviously, I've gone for a shade of blue. Are you even remotely surprised? I would think probably not. So it's nice to have this little space, but follow me back on out. We'll head around from here. I'm not going to show you around the corner yet. That is, of course, for things like the toilets, for all of the boring stuff that you have to have. But you come on up here with this very racetrack style railing. You know, the way that we had this done was to feel like you're in that kind of environment. And the progress up here is unreal. This is so cool. We have effectively 3 separate office rooms. We've got a storage room at the end, which at the moment is completely filled up with all sorts of junk, car parts, TV boxes, you name it, random stuff everywhere, including furniture, because I recently moved house and I've just ended up with all sorts of stuff absolutely everywhere. But the idea here is, again, to further this feel, to look out over at the cars and to feel that you're literally at a motorsport venue, for example, that you're able to see out over the cars, out over all of the action, out over everything from the office rooms behind the glass wall, and it's going to create the most awesome vibe. So we've been measuring all of this out so that Martin and the team at Novus could install the timber stud walls to get all of these up, because of course we'll have glass across the front again. We've got another storage room over at that end, and basically the walkway across the front. So you'll feel like you're at a VIP hospitality box at a motorsports venue, able to look out over the museum. Now, obviously, this is going to take a while. It feels like when the timber goes up, that's kind of the start of it, and it happens really, really fast. But then obviously it has to get boarded, it has to get all of the electrics installed for the power sockets, for the lighting, and it has to have a whole load of other things done. But this is going to be one of the most visual parts. When this is done, and picture, you know, across the top, we have that kind of banner area right up there, the border over the top of the glass. It's going to absolutely look the part. It's going to absolutely look the part. Now, for all of the timber, I've got to say thanks as well to Holmes Hill Shepherd's Huts, from whom I've purchased some. They also kindly supplied some of the timber as well that we've been using for this project. Because to be honest, that is the thing that you really see going into it, and just boom, magic. This is so cool. This is literally the dream garage, as I keep saying. Through this series, I want to share with you more of the build, to show you more of the progress and the amount of things that I find really interesting, especially with Martin, because there's a lot to it. There's so much to it. You know, all the different processes that I never knew anything about before, but have been learning so much about while we've been going. But even deciding like what we do here under the stairs. One idea would be to block up the stairs, but I don't really want to block it up underneath and then have this as kind of a closed cupboard. I like the idea of using this as a space for housing various different things. Also, choosing colours. The paint, for example, having the blue. Obviously, I'm a blue guy. I'm a blue fan. Everything in here is pretty much blue, and that's the way we go with it. But having the mix between the blue and the white paint to obviously create a balance, but also to contrast and bring some of the Shmee and Shmuseum theme into the overall space. It's really fun working on it all, but there's certainly a lot that you need to think about and try and join up together. Through the Shmuseum videos, you've probably seen inside our gazebos. This was originally a temporary idea before we would move into the office space, but it's actually worked out far better than anybody would have expected. So come on in here for a moment and you will see what we have going on. We have a couple of desks for Tom and Brad. We've got the fridge. We've got all of my Lego, a little bit obsessive when it comes to Lego models, pretty much all of the recent cars, even the Eiffel Tower, and way too much stuff, because over recent months, I've kind of been just letting it build up in the hope that we're imminent in terms of the move over to the other side. It needs to be hugely tidied. That is going to be happening, but this is what I'm talking about when it comes to memorabilia, and we will have a full run over of some of the memorabilia, but things like my amalgam 1:8 scale McLaren Senna to match the real thing, things like our very own Mini GT Tarmac Works model cars we've offered as well, even the original movie cassette from JM when he came to visit, just tons and tons of really cool things, books, magazines, signed models, stuff I cannot wait to start unraveling and sharing a little bit more of when we get further down the line with that. But also come back out here, if we can squeeze out of our little gazebo, because this way we have the games and the toys. I mean, literally, e-bike, electric go-kart, scooter, the stuff that sometimes gets a little bit dangerous. All my painted 1:18 scale models, and there are many more that are still in boxes or need to be redone, but way back to my first car, my second car, for example, all the way through. Our seating areas, the basketball hoop, the arcade machines, the tire rack, all of this stuff, which is going to find a new home down the line. Our Carrera track, the slot car track that we have back here, for example, as well, on Tom's table. that he made, plus all of the other goodies from Ben Pack that we have, for example, the dollies, jacks, all sorts of different things, random cars. Of course, some of the cars here don't belong to me, like the XJ220S belongs to Max Cooper, the founder of Gumball. The TVR belongs to Dub Customs. The Lotus Elise up there belongs to a friend of mine as well. That's a full carbon-bodied car, by the way, from the 90s. Really, really cool. We also have the F355 Challenge, which we are soon to get up and running as well. Going to talk a lot more about that soon. And then missing cars, the Zenvo, the GT Black Series, the C63 Black Series. That will be back very shortly, believe me. Off the top of my head, can't even think. But there are a bunch of cars that are not here, that are absent right at this very moment. The F1 car, of course, the F1 show car. But it's amazing to look at that, to think what it did look like, but also to think what it's going to look like. When more of the plasterboard goes up, all of that fire-rated board, the pink stuff that you can see, and then all of the rooms, of course, for upstairs. It's been a long journey, but it's a really, really cool one. When it comes to workshop areas, there are a few things that you need, namely some cabinets, and probably most importantly, some tools to actually do things. And you might have spotted what we've got right over here, thanks to DeWalt. This is literally Christmas when it comes to unpacking some of this stuff. In matching yellow and black to the Lotus Emira standing right beside me, this is going to be mega. As we start to crack on with some things down the line, these are going to help an awful lot. Let me show you a little bit through what we've got right here. For example, heat gun, impact gun, dual action polisher, some lights. We've got this huge light that goes underneath the bonnet of the car as well. We've got some laser distance measurers, another heat gun. We've got a tire inflator. We've got a ton of batteries, impact wrench, all sorts of different things. They're going to be part of starting to work on cars a little bit and can be housed in these very clever storage boxes. The idea of this is you can move them all attached together through this T-stack system. You can pop open each one just to show you quickly, because these also house some other things. We've got an impact driver just inside there, a couple that are going to be used for storage, a couple that actually have a few more tools and things inside. Not only that, you can also stack onto these what we have right here, which is the Bluetooth sound system. And you might be thinking, you never hear music in here, but of course that's because if music is on, we wouldn't be filming, or if we're filming, there's no music, or vice versa. But this actually hooks up to this same stack, and then you can plug this in and also use it to charge up your different batteries as well. It's all pretty clever, really fun stuff. So this is all going to come in very, very handy when we start getting up and running and working on a few little projects right here in our future workshop space. Obviously, lots more to come with that, but some really cool things that I can't wait to share about it. I've just picked these up from in the corner because I want to show you what we've got on my side of this in just a moment. But I've talked a little bit, of course, about the racetrack idea. And this is slightly influenced and inspired by a few different places I've been in the past. And I don't mean like the Carrera slot track in here at all. I mean something along the lines of this. You can tell where we're going. This is from Cure Roofing and Flooring, who are responsible for applying this finish to the floor. And given there's this fairly famous piece of tarmac in Germany in the Eifel Mountains that I quite like driving, that has these red and white bits at the side of the road, you might be able to tell where I'm going with this. We've actually got some interesting samples here. The red and white there. Then we have this. That might feel like a certainly famous corner on said familiar piece of tarmac. We also have other ideas for what could possibly be done, the choppings to make it look like tarmac, or even, check this out, a bit of a tribute there, a little bit of graffiti, like you sometimes find on the surface. So we've got some ideas here from Cure Roofing of what we could do with this product. And you can probably think where my mind is going with this. In fact, we've been thinking about it for a long time, and I've been spending a lot of time working on the ideas and the layouts and how exactly we could go about it. But I'm kind of thinking, if I carefully light these down for a second, that this, kind of like here, what do you say? Around the floor? I think it works. So that is something I'm very excited about in this series, because that is going to give a massive visual impact in this hall. That's going to be one of the biggest things we could possibly do. You might be wondering, what's the purpose of this video? Because I've shown you a few new things, like the kitchenette, the build upstairs, perhaps even the painting of the mezzanine and office area behind me. But the reason I wanted to get this series started by kind of recapping where we are so far is that I know in about 2 or 3 months' time, this is all going to look completely different. And it's going to consume a lot of my time as well, which is why I want to bring you this series on the Shmee 150 channel to kind of really dive in, to get involved with everybody who's helping out, the different people who are going to be here as well, to try and understand and learn more about it all. But given it's going to be a massive consumer of time, of money, of course, as well, there's a lot that's involved in doing all of this. I want to share that experience with you. I dreamt for so long, for many, many years, about the possibilities of one day being able to do something like this, to have a desk in my office looking out at the cars. I can't believe that it's actually kind of happened and now happening really, to have this view across everything. It just doesn't feel real. It's like one of those pinch moments, and I know lots of you guys have come with me on this journey as well, exploring and discovering car collections across the entire globe, around Europe, the UK, Germany, Austria, you name it, heading all across America, seeing some incredible places where people have really built them around their character and their interests, and that's something I find so fascinating, and no secret at all. If you look around, there are a whole lot of cars in here with big wings on the back. I like cars that are focused for the racetrack, that are about that real thrill and emotion, and that's why I want to theme this space around the same. You see a little bit of that with some of the banners that are up, for example, behind the cars with the different brands, some famous racing drivers and names, but very much linking also to different events. You know, I go to the Nürburgring 24, to the Le Mans 24, to loads of F1 races, to loads of different things like that. Hence the inspiration of those different motorsport venues, different things that we're going to tie in. In fact, if you followed in the earlier days of the Shmuseum, I also have all sorts of different signs and different memorabilia things that are going to tie into this very nicely. So it's really, for me, given I'm not going to travel so much in the upcoming period as I have done over the last 6 months, that's really one of the things that slowed down the progress overall. I want to be able to truly get involved in all of this and not miss anything, because there's so much to it. The lounge, the halo space, the offices, all of the facility areas. Then when it comes out to the hall, obviously the workshop and that side of things, but even the storage, the floor space, the museum side, the amount of things I want to get out and get mounted up properly, and to have those walls in place and to get the painting done and to transform it. It's just going to be so cool. This is going to be so cool over the next, I don't know if it's 10 videos, 20 videos, going into the future, to have this place as I pictured it about 2 years ago when this whole thing started, when it was just the milking parlor on a farm, as I said. It's going to be hard to compare or imagine how it went from one to the other, but you guys are going to see it. So there's a lot more to come on that front. Another interesting thing, which I actually spoke about a couple of months ago, is will we ever see all of the current Shmeemobiles together at one time? And while there will be some movers and shakers, I think we're not too far away from that. I've been thinking a little bit about it. Obviously, the GT Black Series is coming back. There are some cars that are out at service and different things, and perhaps 1 or 2 are about to go abroad. But I think in not too long, we might have them all here. And that is going to be the most unreal moment imaginable, as if this wasn't already something. Just to know that we're now making some serious progress. We've toyed with things a little bit along the way, but now is when it all happens. Building my dream garage. The Shmuseum is in the works, and guys, it is going to be so cool. So thank you very much for joining me. But that is it for this time. Make sure to stay tuned for part 2, when we're going to be seeing some pretty spectacular garage memorabilia arriving here that's going to form part of the display. That's it for now though, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!